Welcome everybody to we're now in the second month, so week 5 of the guilds. So the first 4 weeks we talked about a whole bunch of different initiatives. Let me share my screen and I can show you what we're doing today. We have a bunch of great stuff to talk about. Before we get going, does anybody want to raise any particular issues or have anything they want to discuss? All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so here's what we're going to run through. Right now, we have 8 initiatives going. Well, actually 9, but we'll go through these quickly. I don't want to spend the whole time on this, and then we'll just kind of open it up for discussion. Feel free at any point to just jump in and comment or question or anything. This isn't meant to be a presentation, but we're pretty early on in this guild and we got a bunch of initiatives going. So the first one is the Dao Study Group. That will actually begin this Friday, May 6th. We begin Vitalik month. Actually, we're doing 6 weeks so far of Vitalik. And our first presenter will be Scott, who is on the call. And Scott gave us his discussion questions. So we have the article, we have the discussion questions, we have it advertised. I don't know if everybody's seen the advertisement for it. Have you guys seen that?
I have.
No, where is it?
I will copy it right now and put it in our education channel so you guys can share it if you would like. Okay, there it is in our education channel, and it includes a link to the discussion article. Right now, we have 18 people interested, so that's pretty good. We're going to start doing these in Discord. Hi, Melinda. We'll see if Melinda joins. So right now we are having these discussions in our Discord, and the plan is, if that goes well, we will consider moving it over to Twitter Spaces, would be the next thing. Tippy is very familiar with GatherTown, and that's going to help us a lot in the future. But for the moment, we'll start on Discord so we can share screen. We'll see if that's necessary, how that's going, and then possibly move it over to Twitter. I've also been in touch with the Chinese team to discuss whether we could have a similar discussion in Chinese, which I would like to do. So I talked with the team about that, and hopefully that'll start soon. But we'll try it first in English, in Discord, and just kind of see how it goes.
Hey, can I jump in for a second?
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so from the GatherTown perspective, it allows sharing screen and all that stuff. Twitter doesn't work in China without a VPN, so that's worth thinking about for a platform.
Yes, good point. We would for Chinese, that's a good point. For Chinese, we would either use Discord or we would use Weixin or Weibo. Probably we would just use Weixin. I don't think Weixin has a Weixin Spaces per se.
Weixin doesn't let you share screen, but GatherTown is accessible in China. I've checked it.
Okay. Well, that is good. So maybe then it would just be easiest to use GatherTown.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think so.
Yeah, I would really like to get that going. I was just in the Chinese channel recently. I was suggesting that there be some sort of contest for ideas. And actually, just recently, we brought in a new team, a guy named Cao Yin, and he has a team of, they're essentially somewhat professional moderators for a bunch of different Chinese Discords, and they had some fantastic ideas. So hopefully that will get off the ground. But anyway, Dao Study Group, if anybody wants to be a presenter, we're going to keep that going. Just feel free to fill out the guild onboarding intake form on our Notion page. Choose an article you'd like to discuss. It does not have to be by Vitalik. Get it approved by a facilitator, which right now would be me, Blackacre, Scott, or Will. And then, well, right now I'm the facilitator. Those are the other guild members. And I'll talk in a minute about how you become a guild member, because now I have the onboarding finished. And then anybody who wants to do this, it's a 50 USDC bounty. You can present the article for 10 or 15 minutes, prepare a couple of discussion questions like you see Scott did. What's a public good you care about? How can quadratic voting funding matching make the world a better place? Great questions, just good discussion questions. And we'll do that every Friday at 4 p.m. in the Town Square Voice. Any questions on that? Okay, and I welcome everybody to come. Next is the City Dao Journal, what previously we were calling research articles. It looks like Scott A. might be taking over this initiative, which would be great, and he and I will talk about this soon. But what we'd be looking for is people to be writing articles. This was always part of the plan here at the City Dao Education and Research Guild. So we want people to think about what topic they'd like to write about, get approved by one of the guild members, then you write the article, and there can be a bounty for this. 50 to 100, maybe even more, depending. We can budget people pretty high, depending on how much research it takes. This is for academic and non-academic articles. The only thing I think we want to be cautious of is we don't want this to be a blog post where people are just writing about, a trip they took or a fun experience. We want to keep it in line with City Dao and keep it somewhat academic because that's our focus here. So the City Dao Journal will be launching. This is great because it's the evolution of just asking for research papers. Scott, is there anything you wanted to add, or should we just talk about it first and then present it?
Yeah, I could just say quickly sort of my sort of idea of what it would look like. Like if I took kind of the main role, essentially what I do is sort of, I don't know what you'd call it, there's probably many roles, but basically curate a topic. And I kind of had this idea to collaborate with other people from City Dao. Like you come with an interesting topic, why not see who has some really interesting insights and knowledge on this? And Pat, you're here. I reached out to you about doing one on social tokens, which I think is a great topic. And Pat has a really good story about using social tokens to get to ETH Denver. So anyway, the idea is I just come up with a topic and I'd sort of connect the dots between the topic and a research article. And yeah, that's about it. I think it would be fun. I think it would attract traffic eventually, right? It just shows up on Google and it would get people, interested in City Dao and all that. So
cool. Yeah, I would love if there was something about the social tokens and then we had Pat's experience, but we also had some sort of academic stuff about what social tokens are and how they fit into sort of the crypto ecosystem and maybe the past and the future, whether that relates to things like city coins. That would also be relevant, I think. There's a lot of great stuff we could do. Okay, next initiative we're working on.
Even how he used it for a hackathon and like go to a hackathon in the first place. There's all this like recursive depth in his just in a title like
I think
social tokens.
Definitely, yeah. Also, Will, Tippy and I are working on a like social token platform, so that might be.
Are you talking to me, Pat?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Include where for me? This is Will, not David.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I meant Scott's doing the social token article, right?
No, Scott.
Yeah,
I think he's
sure.
doing are you doing a social token too? Quadratic voting.
Oh, we're not talking about
the
the study group. We're talking about ideas for research articles.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then, I was working with Tippy on a hackathon recently too. And then we did talk about Pat's social token project because I think Tippy and Pat are working together too. I think that's very innovative, Pat, when I saw what you did, I think a couple months ago when you posted in City Dao chat.
Cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah, but no, I was just saying, so whoever is doing that article on social tokens might be cool to include the hackathon project Tippy and I are doing.
For sure.
For sure. That's exactly it, right? It'd be cool to include just exactly stuff like that. Yeah.
I would love to make a bounty for that soon and see if you guys want to get together and write that article.
You're sort of suggesting Pat and I and whoever else could collaborate on that.
Sure. And then we
not
could have,
already planned.
especially, right, because if Scott is overseeing this, then you guys could start doing it, write what you know, present the first draft, and then we might say, okay, well, we'd like a little more research on whatever. Is it possible to find a website that relates to this thing so you can put in a reference or something like that?
I like that.
But yeah, after this call,
Sounds good.
Sorry.
I already reached out to Pat, so I'll just add you to the conversation. I was going to get back to you this week, Pat. I was just super busy. So, but anyway, I'll be in touch with you, Tippy and Pat.
All good.
Nice. So Scott, when we talk, let's make sure that becomes one of the first bounties for a paper.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. The next thing to talk about is the Dao courses. So we're starting with the ArcaDao Metaverse building course. We already have an agreement with them, and the contract is almost finished. I wrote that up last night. I'm just figuring out a few things, and then I'll send it to them and waiting for them to form their LLC. But what they're giving us is 40 ArcaDao. DCL is Decentraland, which for anybody who doesn't know is a metaverse, the OG, the old metaverse. So they'll give us 40 ArcaDao wearables. Each wearable will have utility at the workshops. So they're going to do workshops for us. And if you have one of these wearables, which looks like a virtual t-shirt, then it would be like a key or a ticket that would give you extra time with the instructors. We will also get a CityDAO Decentraland wearable, which we will have full control and exclusive use over. So if we want to sell it or give it away or airdrop it or do whatever we want with it, we can. We'll get one workshop, which is just for CityDAO, and then 6 open workshops all about metaverse building. And another thing that's good about this first course is that this will lead to our metaverse city building contest. So they're going to help us oversee, and this will be probably starting maybe June, but they'll help us oversee the creation of this multi-month contest where there will be teams and people can submit something in writing, or they could paint something or draw something, or of course design something on the computer. ArcaDao will help work with people to make sure their visions can actually come to life. We'll have it put to a vote for the CityDAO community. They'll choose like the top 3 metaverse winners, and then those metaverses will actually be constructed with ArcaDAO's help in either Mona Metaverse or Spatial.io, since those are both free metaverse locations. So hopefully there'll be a bunch of cooperations with ArcaDAO, but we will start with this metaverse building course. They're going to drop us the wearables on May 15th. So in about 10 days, and then their expectation for the workshop is to start on June 16th. So we have about a little over a month in order to figure out how we're going to advertise this and how we choose who gets to participate. Do we want it to be a lottery? Do we want people to submit an application? Do we want it open to everybody? How do we decide who gets the first 40? That's something we need to work out. Then we talked about some other courses, possible courses. Now we're going to do the ArcaDao one first, but Melinda had spoken about a learning design bootcamp, which would be very cool. We just need to find someone to teach it. I believe, who was talking about the scavenger hunt? Was that you, Tippy?
Yeah. Well, we want to change it to like treasure hunt or something more nice. But yes, I'm actually working on a prototype of it for next week. Cabin Dao is having a wellness week, so I put together like a simple version, which we may or may not implement, but we're structuring it now. So actually, any feedback, could I share like the pitch deck or whatever to this channel?
Sure.
Let's see. Yeah, so the idea for that was we use like GatherTown or something very accessible, where there's video and screen sharing, and have real people manning or sitting at a station, and then you send people around with side quests and main quests, and like we still have to figure out the logistics of it. And actually, I would benefit from having it. Some organized people sort of take a look at this stuff.
Sounds great. Tippy, you had also suggested a course I'm really excited about in how to read Solidity smart contracts.
Yeah, so should I make a syllabus or a general framework of it? Is that
I would suggest first I would suggest a proposal, because then we can give a budget for it.
Got it. Yeah, okay. Right. I'm working on how to write good proposals, and thanks
Good. Well,
for
maybe,
your patience.
hey, here's an idea. What if we add a proposal writing workshop?
Oh, that's an amazing idea, David. That's a really good idea.
So I'm not sure I'm really the one to lead it necessarily. I mean, I'm comfortable writing proposals, but there may be in CityDAO people who are far more expert in that. I would assume actually Melinda, I would guess. I don't know if Melinda's free to speak. Can you speak?
Yeah, and at the same time, if Melinda or anyone at CityDAO could write a template proposal, right? This is what we need. Then people don't have to send in proposals. Maybe they spend a lot of time on that, but then it's not a format we want, right? So if we have a template for it, then I think it will make the whole process much easier too.
Sure. That would be very cool. I think CityDAO, a lot of the guilds would benefit from that. In fact, I'm going to get moving on that right away. That is one of those things that a lot of the guilds, I think, are struggling with, is how to teach people to write proposals. That would be beneficial to the DAO.
I'm like you, David. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I'm very comfortable writing them, but I've never taught how to write proposals. But I'd be happy to help identify somebody, because I think that's a great idea.
Cool. All right, I
I'll
will.
be like a guinea pig on that. Just stick me into that workshop, and out comes 3 or 4 proposals.
Oh, stick me in there too, please, Melinda. Or Tippy.
Nice.
That I could do a hands-on thing. I mean, yeah, if we wanted to just have let's have a proposal writing workshop or coaching or something, or yeah, that's a great idea. I like that idea of just learning by doing.
Yeah, and we can record it, and people can just learn by watching how we did it, and or we can write up at the end, turn it into an article for later, like a summary of the workshop with key takeaways or something.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I definitely love this initiative.
Okay, great. Well, I'll talk to Melinda. We'll talk. I'll message you, and maybe we can put together a time in the next couple weeks and also find a bounty for this. And then the other thing is we can have the workshop, and then if people are actually writing proposals, we could have sort of a hands-on where somebody brings a proposal they're working on. It doesn't have to be from our guild. I'm sure lots of guilds have people who are writing proposals, and then we could work with them to improve the proposal, and all of this could be recorded. So it doesn't need to be something with a syllabus per se. You or we would create a workshop, and then from that just help guide people in improving their proposals.
Yeah, that's a great way to do it, and we can just every time we run the workshop, it'll get better.
Absolutely. That's true. It'd probably be run more than once. All right, great. We'll work towards that. My friend Leo Yue's courses, I had mentioned I should probably change that. So courses on being a Discord mod. That I think we're going to hold off for a little bit because that actually does need a little bit of a syllabus. Although I'm really excited about the idea because it would be bringing in guest mods, like a star mod from Bankless DAO, or a mod from Kraus House, or all these different projects we have relationships with. We could have each of their mods teach a lesson on using bots, or a lesson on banning people, or a lesson on repetitive requests for information. Or, this doesn't have to be something we teach. It's mostly just a course we design. since we, and of course Elmo would teach one of them.
So the course, maybe another way to look at it would be like similar to this as a workshop where the star mod comes in, identifies some key problem with our organization or our current mod situation, and is like, okay, you need X, Y, Z, and who wants to learn how to do it? Let's do it. And then sort of be transparent in the process.
Sure. Absolutely. This doesn't need to be a course with a syllabus. It could be a series of Discord mod workshops would work just as well.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It's not, I didn't even think about that being a thing until you brought it up last week or whatever.
Cool. So that's a lot of courses we have working on, and that's really exciting. We need to figure out this process for how we offer courses. So we'll do that with the ArcaDAO one first. And once we have that running, then, as we get going, we're now in our second month, we can start delegating sort of project management authority for different courses so we can have multiple courses going on at the same time. The How to DAO thing, we're going to wait on that. And the City DAO course, we'll wait on that until we've done some other stuff, I think, since those will be bigger initiatives. The next one, maybe what I'm most excited about, is the City Dao Symposium. So we have made some moves on this. We've now bountied 2 different people, one to Greatness, who I don't think is here right now, but she will work on a list of education DAOs. Oh no, she'll work on, I got these backwards. She'll work on a list of education DAOs, and Ram will work on the student blockchain associations. I don't think either of them are here at the moment. Ram is currently a master's student in Paris who's worked with VCs before, so he's very into student blockchain associations. Greatness, I believe, is Nigerian, if I'm not mistaken, and has worked with SU DAO, which I'm not super familiar with, but she already showed me some of her work. She has a great template of over 10 different education DAOs and how we can get in touch with them. And so that's really great. I'm going to finish the call for papers. I wanted it done by today, but I didn't get it done. It's almost done. And then we'll get in touch with all these other organizations, start to distribute the call for papers. We've talked about the location and the date of when we'll do it. That's not set yet. We talked last week about making sure that we do it virtually in one form or another, whether we use Zoom or GatherTown, but we could use GatherTown for these wine and cheese POAP mixers, which I think is, Tippy suggested that's a really fun idea, to be able to give people like wine and cheese NFTs. Oh, that even sort of rhymes. But yeah, so the hope is, as we get more connections with different student blockchain associations especially, we are just going to have papers rolling in, both for the symposium and for our City DAO publishing. And right now, the topic of this symposium is the Web3 College Town, which is this idea of when we have City DAO University or any of these education DAOs that purport to disrupt education and, teach people marketable skills or change the paradigm of education, what does that say about the vibrant social life that is so inherent in higher education? How can we bring that vibrant social life into Web3? That sense of self-exploration and meeting friends and getting to be independent and knowing each other and trying new things. And so we want to bring that into the Web3 space. And so I'd like that to be our sort of discussion topic. But we're still at the beginning of this. At least we've bountied out the contacts. I do have a Miro template. It's not really any different from last week, but I'm working on the white paper right now, along with the call for papers. The venue and the date we all need to talk about. Then we have these bounties set for who we're going to invite, the other DAOs, professors, the other DAOs and professors and student blockchain associations. Will also work with a bunch of other guilds, public affairs, events, community, and design. And then we'll see if we want to maybe even invite the Wyoming legislature to this, which would be great, because that would be that would be something we could actually publicize. And then we'll choose the papers. So right now we're a little bit in the early stages of this, but that is what is planned. Any questions or anything about that? All right then.
Sounds really exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So for City Dao Publishing.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite initiatives right now. I like all the initiatives we have, but honestly, the symposium is the most exciting one for me.
Yeah. For the publishing, we have these two ideas. One is a children's book, one is a regular book. For the children's book, we're still looking for writers or illustrators, project management using like a Gantt chart or a PERT diagram. And then we'll work with the dev team on NFT creation. And Blackacre said he might know some contacts that we could talk to at schools. The general tenor of it would look something like this, where there would be a story about, like the children's story. It's a child, they're reading a book, they can't go outside because it's raining, they want to meet their friends, but all their friends are in different cities around the world. And NFTs are these sort of magic keys that can unlock the city. And so she's thinking about what city should she go to. She decides instead to build her own city. So enter the City Dao blank city template. And a child can use objects like a police station or hospital or roads or traffic lights or buildings. I also think what we can have is some artists who are like, I know Amadex is a painter in our guild. There are people, I'm sure, around City Dao who are artists, whether they are artists with traditional medium or they're computer artists. And I would love if they are contributing their idea of what a building looks like or their idea of what a park or a tree looks like. Also, the child could draw their own pictures and scan it with their phone. The whatever the child scans becomes an image that they can then use to put in their blank city template. When it's done, and their parent will scan a QR code, and the city will become an NFT. So we turn it into an NFT. We send the NFT to the wallet of the parent, and the NFT is a magic key. It has utility to unlock either a secret city or some sort of discount on a coding class for children. So there's a lot of things here that are still to be decided. What probably we'll need is maybe once the symposium is really getting underway, we'll need someone to project manage this. Either I'll do it or someone else will do it, and start figuring out how we break this into, scientific management and break it into smaller pieces and see what needs to be bountied out. Certainly all the stuff with the dev team and the NFT creation. I don't know if it'll work, but to me, this is one of those like 1 in 10,000 ideas, because if it works, it could be big. It could be successful. It could lead to a series of books. Who knows? But I figure it's worth us trying.
Yeah, books are, I think, really worth it. Like they take more investment of time and energy, but then you have this nice package to share with people, and it really helps raise awareness. And I think it could become big, and even if it doesn't become big, it's still like a calling card that we'll have that's unique to this guild.
Yeah, I agree. And I think a lot of parents, certainly in my age range, a lot of parents would love to know more about this technology and love to teach their kids about it. And if it's something interactive they could do together, like building a city, that could be a fun activity.
Yeah, David, I think it's great. And then I mentioned I have a friend who has published children's books successfully. And if we want to speak with her, I wonder, first of all, do we want to talk to her? And secondly, is it a time I can get her to come to where you have a small meeting for the storybook team? Or should I ask her to see if she can come to this education board meeting, sometime in this month? Absolutely.
I appreciate that. That would be great. I'll talk to you about that.
So what would you prefer? I guess we can figure this out later.
Yeah, I'm not sure yet. I don't really have a story idea. I guess I would want to wait until we have a little more of a team for this. Right now, I'm focused on the symposium. And so If we have somebody else who wants to maybe co-project manage this, that would be one thing. If not, then probably I'd wait until we're a little farther with the symposium. Maybe in a month or so.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good.
Okay, cool. The other one, I don't know if Melinda's still interested, but Melinda, I remember you saying you'd actually put together a book where people wrote different chapters.
Yeah, I'm very interested in that. That's something I'm good at.
I'm changing your question mark to an exclamation point.
Yeah, and yeah, I like working with people to get their message, like get clarity on the main message, and then then find if there's a research question in that message, and then find the focus, and then kind of do team building toward the end product. And ideally, there's somebody who's not even writing. They're probably just doing like the table of contents and some formatting, but they're really just project managing the whole thing.
Cool. Well, I would love to, and I'll message you so we can talk about a proposal for this, where we figure out maybe a timeline and a basic budget that, it can always be changed, but at least something to get us going. And I'll reach out to Scott Fitz. I'm going to be away next week. I will be in Wyoming, so visiting Parcel Zero with Scott. So I'll be able to talk to him personally then about some of these ideas.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, and I'll be much more available now that the semester's over. I just have been wrapping up a conference myself and have been crazy. So I will be able to do the onboarding process and take a look at these things and figure out what I can, commit to, like put some time into, but it has to be sort of one thing at a time.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, great. We'll talk about that soon. So you mentioned onboarding. Oh, yeah, and so anybody who has thoughts on what maybe if they'd want to write something, think about it. But this would be a longer writing, a much more involved piece of writing. So, but everybody can think about it. We'll work on developing that initiative. Since you mentioned onboarding, let's jump down to a walkthrough of the Education and Research Guild onboarding so everybody can see what I've been working on. So we're going to change this in the future because it won't necessarily be on Notion. But right now we start here with the sort of onboarding journey. So we scroll down, we have 3 steps. So step 1 is to join the City DAO Discord, and this link will take you right to our Discord, and you would head to education. This is our primary location for discussions, then return here. Step 2 is to fill out the guild onboarding form. You just click this, and you get to like a Google Forms that gives some questions about yourself. Step 3 is the one I've worked on this past week. So now it's a set of tasks that are supposed to get people up to speed with the Education and Research Guild. So I asked people first to tag me, and then they'll be assigned a guide. Now, for now, I'll just do that for anybody. Once it becomes too unwieldy, then I'll try to get other people, and, I can certainly bounty people for this too. They'll be given a card on this journey board linked below. And here's what the journey board looks like. So there are 4 stages here in the journey board. Number 1 is understanding the guild. And so if somebody has a card, let's say we have a new person who's going through this, their card would start here. And on their card, they can be assigned to a person. We can add comments like, welcome. And this is their card that they can always look at. For understanding the guild, they'll get to information on our initiatives, the university, the symposium, workshops and courses, publishing, educational documents, and discourse, which is just to say our discussion. And they'll get a task. Now that you see what the Education Guild is doing, please explain which of the above initiatives interests you. If none of them interest you, we'd love to know. If you can think of anything that might interest you, write this here. And if you click on that, that takes us to a little Google form what interests you, very short form, but what interests you? Are there initiatives that are not listed but might interest you? Do you have any other thoughts about the guild? So that would give us some more information on them. Once they finish this, they go to the second task, how bounties work. They can also open this as a page if they want. So we explained bounties are like rewards for good work. Everybody in CityDAO is technically a volunteer, but we can reward people. If you're not clear on USDC or ETH addresses, don't worry, we'll explain it all. To receive a bounty, you go to DWork, so I have the link here. Bounties require that you apply for them, and here's an example of how you would apply, what it looks like. It has a due date and a value. You'd click on the claim task on the bottom right. You'll then be contacted by a guild member to walk you through the application process. It's just explaining the details and asking about experience. Are bounties taxed? We don't talk about, Bruno, taxes. That's my little Encanto joke. But we don't talk about taxes here. And then the task, part of being a positive member of the Education and Research Guilds is to think about bounties or suggest bounties that might be interesting, exciting, or beneficial, or just fun. So the task for this part is to suggest a bounty. There's no right or wrong answer. Feel free to be silly or creative. You click on that link, we get to a sample bounty form, like what's the name of the bounty, create a French language DAO discussion group, or write an essay about how rabbits will never learn blockchain. How would you explain this task? How long do you believe the task would take? And how much USDC would you bounty for this? And is there any other information you'd like to add? Once they've done all of these, let's get back to this, they go to number 3. What is Web3 education? So there are a lot of opinions about Web3. I've attached 2 articles. This is an article that gives a very positive view of Web3. This is an article which is a direct rebuttal of the first article. So it says, this Web3 in education isn't very special at all. So these 2 are sort of counterpoints. And then we'd like you to choose at least one more article from the following list. They offer various views of Web3. So we'll ask people to do some reading in this part. The task is to give us a little reflection. Are you excited, full of questions, confused? Is it boring, inspirational? They click here and we get to another Google form that gives us, what did you think of the articles you read? Did it give you any insight? Is there anything you'd like to add? All of this stuff, by the way, I'm very open to suggestion on how we might change it. And then the final section, so as you do these, I would be moving somebody's name card through them to demonstrate where they are. How we work together is just to say we really have 3 ways of working together. One is being a participant, and if you want to be a participant, you're done. The process is finished. If you'd like to be a contributor, then we welcome you to show up at the Dao Study Group, maybe accept some bounties, join one of our teams, but essentially it's the same thing. A guild member is someone who actually votes on our proposals, which govern our treasury. Right now, we only have 4 members. It's me, Scott, Will, and Blackacres. Nico is too busy right now. But we're always looking for people. It's the same process that you've done here, but then there will be a vote, and we will vote on who becomes a member. So this is right now the onboarding process that I've sort of created. And I'm happy if anybody wants to give any feedback or if you want to play with it and think about it. I don't know if there are any thoughts now.
I like it. It looks like a real journey, and you did a lot of work.
All right, well.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it, and I think a good idea is maybe I wasn't last step, maybe I missed it. Ask the participant about their feedback on the journey. As one of the final steps, you can include it to like a 3rd step or something, and we can get their feedback to everyone who goes through this.
Sure.
And then I know I only suggested it because we did do that in the dev field onboarding. We asked them to give us feedback on the onboarding process, before they're a fully guild member, so we can always improve through that.
Good, thank you. And Simple Pixel Life, did you have something?
Actually, so this is my first meeting for the educational guild.
Welcome.
So thank you. So what your guys is doing is very great. So fascinating, full of information. So it feels like a DAO in here. So I didn't know what you guys are doing, and neither Turkish community, I guess. So gonna be, I'll be, I'm gonna make sure that the Turkish community be aware of what you guys are doing here. I'm taking some notes, and we'll share it with the Turkish community. Because, like I said, there are a lot of topics in here, and content. So none of them is just words. So maybe as TP5 star that say a great journey. So I want to hop in with you guys. We will try to contribute as much as I can. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful meeting. Thank you.
And yeah, I'd love to see if there's a way to get a Turkish sort of once a week discussion group going. That would be really cool if we could make that happen.
Sure. We actually, as Turkish community, we're trying to warm up for the CDAO. So we're trying to modifying some things. But we'll be in here with some members soon, I guess.
Great. Yeah, always welcome. Everybody's welcome.
What's the number one food in Turkey?
What you think?
I think it's like a couscous. It's like, I remember my friends talked about it. There was like something everybody always eats, and I forgot what it was.
Couscous should be like the 30 or 40. It should, let's say, begin with kebab, then doner, then baklava, then lokum, etc. But couscous is like a rice. It's kind of rice. So I wouldn't say couscous. But feel free to come Turkey and be my guest.
Yeah, that's what I was fishing for.
Okay.
I'm trying to set up a Istanbul event soon, so I'd love to see you guys out there.
Please come, and I will try to make the best journey for you guys.
Good. I want some of that
sure
baklava.
To share that. Yeah, I know people in Istanbul too.
Great news.
So that is most of it, right? We'll be at permissionless, and we'll discuss the study group or workshops or symposium with anybody who's interested. The last thing really is just to mention City Dao University, but everything we're talking about is building towards this. The symposium, the publishing, the City Dao Journal, the courses, all of it is kind of geared towards ultimately building a university. Really, the last thing is this idea of new paradigms for education, talking about grants, and also talking, I didn't put it here, the accreditation process for offering like a BA or maybe even a BS. How does that happen internationally? These are things that I didn't really spend time on today because right now we're working on the initiatives that would eventually get us there. But the grants is actually pretty significant. Once we get the white paper, we'll be ready to start bountying people to apply for grants, because that can get us money so we can move forward. Although money really isn't the problem right now. The problem is doing everything carefully and right and building a really strong team of dedicated people. Once we have that, I believe we'll be able to do amazing things. And I love the team right now. I think everybody on this call is somebody who really, pretty much everybody on this call has been part of this, for a month already. That's really exciting. So that's it for me. It's about, we still have, 15 minutes or so if anybody wants to discuss anything.
I'd like to talk about the long-term topic of creating a university and the new paradigm and what that would look like. I'd be interested in getting people's thoughts on that.
I just picture us having a bigger endowment than Harvard. It's my main goal.
I like that. I like the way you think. Absolutely.
Maybe
Yeah,
you're
totally.
gonna, you're gonna
and
share this. I'm sorry. You're gonna share this at the Common Education Guild. So I will check it and hopefully translate it and share with the Turkish community.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
yeah, having a large endowment is amazing, obviously, for any education system or facilities, institutions, however you want to call them. But I think for Web3, and I was discussing with David and others, like it really is about taking control of what you own, right? Like because how Web2 was read and write, but then the stuff you upload are not yours because it goes to a centralized system. So Web3, ideally, you should be able to take control of what you own. So I think we're talking about people who complete the courses can have an NFT. In this way, they have a say on future courses, right, and future instructors. Maybe the students can have a choice on what they want to learn and who they want to teach it by, right? It's still very not flushed out yet, but then I think giving the users, in this case the students, a choice to make on what they want to learn and where they want to learn from is what Web3 is about. Because if you look at the university right now, many good courses, and then I know there are some universities that allow students to vote for courses to come in, but a lot of times the instructors are what university would send out, so you wouldn't really know what's going on. And at the same time, the other thing is for these universities, you have to be a member of the university in order to make those changes, right? So it's very centralized decision too. It's not really decentralized. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no.
Universities
Sorry.
are not transparent at all, and the changes that students want, even though the universities say they want to, consider student needs, they don't actually listen directly to the students very well, in my experience. And having that flipped, I think, is just that I like that you brought that up, because I think that's something we should really concentrate on. Like, how will that affect everything? Like, if curriculum is truly democratic and representative of, not only student interest, but what we actually need to know to change the world the way we want it to be.
Yeah, no, and just to reply to you guys' points, I think it's all about, I think it's interesting. At university, the main contributors are professors and students, and yet in some ways it seems like both get shortchanged. Like neither are happy. Students have no control, and professors in a lot of ways don't have control. So I kind of have this tagline that, it'd be a university where, professors own the classes and students own the university. And actually how to implement that is really difficult, but I think that idea is really profound. And basically you get professors away from universities because they have more incentive, they have more profits and more control over what they actually teach, and you get students because the exact same reason. They have more control over what they learn, and they have more direction over the actual university. And I think Web3 can really offer that. The tools are there, but of course it'd take a lot of work to actually make it reality, but I think it's really exciting.
Makes me think of the possibilities of using the quadratic voting mechanism as a way for students on the one hand and faculty on the other to have a transparent impact on topics and courses.
Totally, and come to the study group tomorrow because we'll bring that up.
Yeah, I printed out the 15-page paper. I'm going to try to understand it.
Oh, hey, Greatness. Welcome.
Everybody. Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Greatness, as I mentioned before, is working on the symposium. She is bountied to find education DAOs in the space. And I believe you said you'd worked with SU DAO. I'm not familiar with SU DAO, but... And
Yeah, I work with them, Superwoman Dao.
Superman Dao. Never heard of him. But cool.
I got something like a question for everybody. What's one thing that every university has in common other than students and professors?
A mascot.
A library.
Uh-huh. What else?
Oh yeah, the library. Yeah.
How
I
about
actually.
another place where people
I'll let Tippy
get
finish, but
together. Yeah. Let me get to the point, which is a cafeteria.
Okay. Yeah.
Where are you
Well,
going
the-
with this?
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, City Dao doesn't have a food guild, and we should have a food guild.
He's hungry, I guess.
Like,
I was gonna ask, Tippy, you haven't eaten?
Yeah. I'd be interested in that, honestly, like more like exploring like decentralized like farming and stuff like that. But also, as far as the library, I actually had this really cool idea. So I was gonna bring like a big collection of my books to all the events, and just kind of have like a bring a book, take a book type program going, like at all the events. So I was thinking about that almost as like this is City DAO's like decentralized library, and we could even expand on that by somehow like making a page, like a web page that says like here's all the books that are in the library, and then we somehow use like zero knowledge proofs so people can request like, hey, can you send me this book, and then they have to return it like a normal library at some point.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And I mean, I wonder if we could even make it like a bookstore where, there'd be some kind of very affordable payment every time you downloaded a book, because it is so much work to write a book. And if we're writing books, we want to make that a part of kind of our income stream.
Definitely, yeah.
That's interesting stuff. I mean, definitely, so many of the books are either available, of course, on Amazon or on something like Z Library, but people don't know what to read. So it's more than just having a curated reading list. It's actually having like a library of books with audiobooks all read by Pat or Tippy.
Definitely, yeah.
I would love to hear Tippy read some audiobooks.
Bounty it up.
Someone, I think it was Tippy, who told me like real like physical books are gonna be worth like a lot of money eventually, because like there's less and less getting printed. So like I think it'd be cool just for City DAO to like amass like this library somehow of like physical like books that all of our citizens have access to.
That's
First
interesting.
editions only, though.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, no, and it's also it's something nice to like actually reading a physical book versus like audiobook or like reading, online.
It'd be interesting, especially when we actually have physical locations.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, that brings us about to our 1 hour mark. So, anybody have any final things to talk about? I mean, there's so much stuff going on. Again, we welcome everybody for tomorrow's very first Dao Study Group. That is happening tomorrow at 4:00 p.m. The presenter will be Scott. I'll be there to help host it. One other thing, actually, speaking of this, we're trying to make these like roundtable discussions. And so what that means is we'll have one presenter, but then we'll have other people who are there to help with the discussion, to give their thoughts on it. and then we'll open it up to the crowd. That's the goal. But right now, we only have the presenter and me, the host. Is there anybody who would like to or is willing to be part of this sort of presentation team tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I want to discuss it with you guys tomorrow. And a little preview since we have like a minute left. Scott, I want to ask you, do you think healthcare is a public good, or perhaps it's not here, but maybe somewhere else in the world?
Good
Also,
question.
I
I mean,
wanted
for the
to
most part,
possibly lead one of these talks. How do I sign up for that?
To lead the talk?
Well, yeah. So it's I think the structure was whoever's leading just picks one of Vitalik's papers and then sets up questions for it, right?
Sure. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be Vitalik's paper, but it's right here. I just highlighted it. You would do the guild onboarding intake form. I mean, you don't have to because I know you, but generally that's what someone would do. They would just choose an article, they'd run it by us, we say cool, and then this link that I put here would be kind of the key place to go so you can see what's going on so far. Because this is the Dao Study Group, here's the weekly schedule, and then here's our calendar. Right now it's read only, so if you want to add something, we have the first 6 weeks done. And thank you to everybody who's presenting. And then after that, we just keep being open. Pick an article, let me know.
Oh, okay, cool, yeah. I wanted to do the meat space protocol article and just bring up some questions about how it shows Vitalik was influenced by a lot of Lewis Carroll's work and stuff.
That sounds awesome.
Scott was saying something.
oh yeah, no worries. We're past the hour, so Will just had a really good question about healthcare as a public good. I mean, actually, when I think about it, that's a really good question, and the answer would be quite long. So maybe we'll table that until tomorrow.
Yeah, we can do it tomorrow. Yeah. Thanks, Scott, and thank you, David, for this meeting, and thank you for sending the agenda out. Going through and recording everything.
David, I can tell how busy you are because you've got 100 tabs open on your.
It's so
on your
true.
screen, so.
I feel bad for my computer. I've never had this many tabs, but every time I read one article, there was just an amazing case where I don't think I closed it. It was maybe the first class action case against a crypto. No, this is the contract. Maybe I did close it. But here's the class action. So someone actually sued a crypto for a class action. I've never heard of this crypto, or it's a protocol called BZX, if anybody's ever heard of that. But it's kind of funny if you read this document because apparently you guys can't see my screen if I share that. Anyway, let me unshare. See if you can see this. Anybody who has to go, I'm not trying to make anybody stay. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's this protocol called BZX, and they talked so much. So this was filed just recently in, it's a class action in the Southern District of California. And I don't see demanded date May 2nd, 2022. So, just filed 3 days ago. And it's against this protocol. And it's crazy because the protocol all over the place just says, this is the safest protocol. We have all these safety things. You're totally safe here. And they just got scammed for $55 million because somebody had their seed phrase on their computer and clicked on some link in a Microsoft Word document that copied it. Yeah, total theft of $55 million. And they know they were responsible for it because he opened up some attachment on an email. After all this talk about how safe this is, he opened up some attachment on his email. And that's it. They got his seed phrase and cleaned it out.
That actually brings up in my mind, maybe we should, like as the Education Guild, have courses about, stuff like this. So, like kind of like OPSEC safety for like people who are like facilitators within the DAO.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I worked with a company that had to comply to HIPAA before, and I had to be the regulator. It was a lot of stuff that people would just make, like when you're leaving your computer for a snack, they wouldn't go to screensaver mode, and someone could just look at their password, do that. This is like basic thing. It might be a good idea to have in a class on that, like Scott.
So, yeah, I'm gonna write that down. Okay, that's great. I'm going to then just clean up this document, and then I'll post it to our channel, and I'll also post it to Notion. Okay, thank you guys so much for coming to the meeting. It's always a pleasure, and feel free to reach out to me at any time. And otherwise, I will see you all at our next meeting, or tomorrow at 4:00 p.m. EST, where Scott does the first ever Dao Study Group.
Thanks, David.
Excited for that. Thank you.
Definitely be there.
Awesome.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, guys.
Good day, guys.
Have a good day, everyone.
Grab some lunch together. Some Turkish food.
Like 10 p.m. in here, so I can't do that. But
Oh,
feel
come
free
on,
to.
Kebabs are open all night.
Yeah, I know. But
Around anywhere in the world, you can get kebabs late at night.
okay, don't make me do this.
Good talking with you all. But
Yeah.
recipes for the next one.
Sure.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.